Previously, I discussed the ever-rising rates of mental illness in westernized cultures. I get into this in a lot of depth in my book, A Jungian Analysis of Toxic Modern Culture. And all the studies that I am going to discuss here today are in that book, which is available for pre-order, by the way. But let's get into the evidence here. So what I'm talking about are social instincts. And the analogy between the pain of loneliness and physical pain is more than a mere literary flourish. According to one of the chapters in The Social Outcast, an '05 book by Eisenberger and Lieberman, there is a lot of neurocognitive overlap in these two systems, which suggests that physical pain, which is present in all mammals as a motivator to avoid dangerous stimuli, was co-opted by evolution and expanded to include certain social environments for humans, and no doubt other social animals like wolves or gorillas or cetaceans. Eisenberger and Lieberman argue that the pain of social separation rivals physical pain and may indeed be even more painful subjectively as well as neurologically. They argue that the state of being sensitive to social rejection, moreover, does not merely derive from associating caregiver faces with the satisfaction of basic drives like hunger or warmth. This was the theory of social cognition that was really popular in the early part of the 20th century. Rather, they point to the mounting evidence of the latter half of the last century that social connection is an independent, biologically derived, and autonomous need on par with the need for food, warmth, and safety. So you can see why I'm going on about this all the time. These authors describe social pain as arriving from perceived social distance. Perceptions of rejection, exclusion, non-inclusion, or cues that signify being distant from or not valued by important others is what triggers this system, either individually or as a group. This means that we're biologically predisposed to be concerned with our social standing, and in no small measure because being rejected or dismissed by others hurts almost as much as or if not even more than, tissue damage hurts. The work of other cognitive scientists, such as Catiopo et al., is supportive. In the 2014 paper, they review the evidence that loneliness has a certain heritable component, which further supports the idea that loneliness is a significant part of our social instincts and is biological in origins. Hence, I can justify calling them instincts. These investigators review a large body of evidence that loneliness has a very strong non-additive genetic influence. That means it's likely to have been selected for in our evolutionary past. No big shock there. This biological predisposition then is naturally sensitive to a number of specific environmental conditions. A number of those conditions make it worse, including leaving home for college, being unmarried, having few to no siblings, lower education and income, living alone, having infrequent contact with friends and family, chronic work stress, poor quality of social contacts. It goes on and on. Thus, it appears that much like physical pain, learning and early experience can have profound influences on how the social instincts function. Not only that, but there's a basic level here that's just biological. And so it's not that these early experiences create that pain. The potential to feel that pain is already there. These authors also note that across other animal species, these effects of social isolation are very similar to the ones that you see in humans. Worsening cardiac health, obesity, diabetes, shortened lifespan, numerous inflammatory problems and immune problems. That social isolation causes these effects in humans and social animals, again, strongly implicates these feelings as instinctive. They are therefore only going to be influenced by culture in the manner of expression. They're not created by culture to begin with. Biology creates these. This then links the predisposition, the manifestation, and environmental sensitivity to social environment in our biological inheritance. In other words, it's an innate part of our human nature. Social instincts are a part of the archetypal psyche, in other words, putting this into Jungian terms. This means that our social instincts are going to have a certain environmental expectation and innate responses to the culture of our upbringing that will either satisfy or not satisfy those needs. You can create all of this stuff with culture. Culture responds to these innate predispositions. That's how it works. And not every culture is going to be equal in its ability to meet these needs. As I will hope to show in this video and others like it and that I plan for the future, there's a lot of factors that predict loneliness, and many other socially responsive health problems tend to be worse in modern life than in the past, as we talked about in the previous video a couple of videos ago. So there seems to be a causal connection then to this pervasive loneliness problem that we keep talking about. Now, interestingly enough, these same researchers also review evidence that it's the quality rather than the quantity of social contact. This is the dominant force in protecting against feelings of loneliness. Okay, this fact arose because our social contacts can be duplicitous. This is not anything new. This is something that goes back to any social animal. Alliance changing in general can be tricky. So it makes sense that these social instincts, which evolved way before Homo sapiens, that they are going to be very discriminating. In fact, it takes, I think, a lot of reassurance to convince our social instincts that a given social contact is actually reliable and stable. And this finding is in line with the idea that humans have instincts that seek out and value high quality, dependable social contacts. Furthermore, this instinct punishes those who do not have any such contacts with this horrible feeling of lack, misery, and loneliness. Finally, they review studies that argue that cooperation and evolutionary mechanisms are what drive this. Groups that conduct warfare, such as ancient hunter-gatherers, as well as non-human primates like gorillas or chimpanzees, do so in an organized manner because it is more effective. That is, it provides a selective reproductive advantage. So that's why they're there. This gives us a clue as to how old these instincts are. They're not new to Homo sapiens. This goes way prior to that in our proto-human ancestors. If you combine this with the evolution of long-term pair bonding, which you do see in gorillas but not chimps, it contributes to, now long-term pair bonding contributes to lower sexual competition among males for mates. There's less infighting. And also increased paternity certainty. So that encourages paternal investment in offspring, which you don't see in a lot of mammals, but it's definitely there for humans. These changes sent us down this track of wanting a collective identity. And within that, we saw the evolution of the nuclear family. But interestingly enough, the collective identity seems to have come first. Then the nuclear family identity came along with it afterwards. And that seems to be, of course, the opposite of what we emphasize in modern cultural, westernized cultural values. That's, of course, I'm going to talk about that more later when we start talking about the differences in family structures and why that might be one of the big contributors to the loneliness epidemic that we're dealing with. So that's your Mental Health Monday for today. Make sure you subscribe. And you can check out ericgoodwyn.com for podcasts and all other kinds of stuff that you can't get here on YouTube. Catch you next time.